Jonathan here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about business. You know, I'm in UCLA, like I mentioned before, and I've been teaching a college readiness class, and I've also been teaching some business, and they hired me to come out here and help help make some of these college students college ready. You know, the irony of this is that these kids are so advanced. I mean, these kids are, these are, intellectually they're a boom, 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 and here I am coming in there trying to bring some of my experience and some of my wisdom, if you want to call it that, and trying to stuff that into people who are going to go to college. And so I've been teaching business, and I've been teaching a college readiness class, and obviously my forte is business. And I spent 10 years in arguably the most competitive online spaces there is. I ran a finance company online and a scalable company and grew it from really nothing to $500,000. And here I am trying to teach and bring real life experience to people that are haven't even declared a major yet. So I thought, man, and by the way, if you ever want to know, if you ever want to have every single one of your insecurities, those bells rung every day, go teach. You know what they say, those who can't teach, maybe there's some truth to that. But I ran a 10-year company and had a lot of success with it. But I really enjoy teaching. I enjoy the interaction, and I also like just hopefully, you have those moments where you see that you're making a connection, and then you have those other moments where they're like you're gonna talk to me, really, and they just stare at you and you feel like shit. And so I thought, let me just do a video and kind of do some what I would teach your organization. It's no big secret that I would love to do I like to do more business consulting, and I love to come speak to organizations, churches, businesses, really wherever there's an organization, there's a goal. There's people that, they're trying to achieve something. And, I grew a 10-year company from nothing to $500,000. And, the problem with business owners or CEOs or chairmen or the big guy is, or the big girl, we want to be gender neutral on this channel, right? Is usually you don't ask for help until you need it. And so I was thinking, what could I say to my online space here, my YouTubers out there, about business that is from 10 years of warfare, not 10 years daddy's business where I took over from my daddy, but just literally a 10-year business. And very few people can say they started a company from nothing and went 10 years. So what advice could I bring to you guys that maybe perhaps my classes are ignoring? And I'll kind of say something I did well, and I'll also tell you something that I did not do well. And so that way, no matter what you're going through with your business, your church, your whatever CEO you're a part of, this is what I would tell you to do. And these are just free advice. So whether you hired me or not, this channel is blessing you in some capacity. Because ultimately, like Jackie Robinson says, 42, he says ultimately our job is really to, our only real impact as humans, Jackie Robinson said, is the impact we have on other people. So that's one reason why I'm doing this YouTube channel, is I want to bring and have a good impact. So one of the things that I did really well in my business is I read a book called The Red Ocean Strategy, or The Blue Ocean Strategy. If you haven't bought that book, go buy that book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. Is one of those books that made it changed my brain. And there's probably only, and I read a lot, there's probably only 4 or 5 books in my life that I can say truly changed my brain. Beyond the Enneagram, which I love, I talk a lot about the Enneagram and the Blue Ocean Strategy, those are probably, without question, something that every organization needs. The Enneagram I can come teach you guys, but the Blue Ocean you can pick up, and he talks about in that book the importance of being a specialist in your market share. And I won't go through the Blue Ocean here, but the first piece of advice is, one thing I did well is I read that book, and I employed the wisdom of that book, and that is I became a specialist in mortgages. Instead of just being a Johnny General guy, I became a very specialist, and there was probably only about 2 or 3 mortgages that I did well and that I focused on. Now, obviously I did all kinds of loans, but there were 2 or 3 that I specialized in. So what's my advice? Number 1 is go pick up those books, the Blue Ocean Strategy, the Enneagram. Go pick up Blue Ocean Strategy, and secondly, read it, and third, discover and decide what market you want to specialize in. And once you know who your market is, then that's when business changed for me. And when I really became a specialist in the online mortgage space, that's when my company really grew. Not just that, but I was one of the last mom and pop mortgage companies that Dodd-Frank to push out. So being a specialist, that's one thing that I did really well, and I'd highly recommend you in your space, be a specialist. Don't just be a general anything, be a specialist. One thing I did not do well, one thing that I highly recommend you to do well, and let me kind of quote some scripture here. I know some people don't like the Bible and they think the Bible and business don't really go together, but there's a passage that says, don't throw your pearls to swine. And I think it's in Proverbs something. It says, don't throw your pearls to swine. And that's a kind of a harsh passage. A lot of times people think the scriptures are just about, sunshine and giggles and unicorns. And there's definitely a part of the Bible that talks about, Psalms 23, for example, the Lord is our shepherd and all that kinds of stuff. But there's also another part of the scriptures of wisdom, and it says, don't throw your pearls to swine. And one thing that I would recommend to any business owner or business leader, head pastor, any head honcho, is I would say, be very careful about the people you hire. Be very careful of the people you hire. And if there's one thing I would do differently, is I would go back and I would hire A and B talent only. I would not mess with C and D talent. There's kind of a saying from the recovery world that says you're hiring, it says you're falling in love with people's potential. You're falling in love with people's potential. And often business owners, they have, even though we're big mouths and we've got big egos, we often have big hearts, and sometimes we'll hire people that aren't really suitable for the job, and we think we can actualize their potential. Well, guess what? They're the only ones that can actualize their potential. So if there's one piece of advice I would say to you that I would pass on one thing that I wish I would have done differently, and I would have hired better people. So practically, what do you do beyond buying the Blue Ocean strategy today on Amazon? Secondly is look at your people and go, who's A and who's B? And anybody who's C and D, I would highly recommend you find a different place for them where they can either be A or B, or they can go be somebody else's A or B. All right, this is Jonathan. Email me americano417@gmail.com. I'm always willing to give you a little bit of business advice. Those are two things that I would do. One thing I did well, which was what? Buy the Blue Ocean strategy. Secondly, study the Enneagram. Third, the piece of bad advice that I would recommend to any business owner, if I were to come and do some consulting for you, and I would love to come speak to your organization, your church, or whatever, one thing I would do is I would say, who here does not really belong here? Who's not really bringing the game up? Because here's the thing, 10 years in my business, once Dodd-Frank really became aggressive, and once Dodd-Frank really became a true burden to my mortgage company, which was the intent of the legislation all along, I didn't have level A and B talent to lean up against. What I had is I had level C's and D's, and as a result, when I really needed some help with the company, those people were not around. So anyway, good piece of advice, good 8 minutes. I'd love to come speak to your organization, americano417@gmail.com. Email me, love to hear your business thoughts. Love to hear your ideas on, or your thoughts on the Blue Ocean strategy. And I devil dog dare you, go buy that book and tell me it doesn't change your business. Or go hire the wrong person and tell me if what I'm talking about hiring a C and D talent. Anyway, I got to go. Americano417@gmail.com.